Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka Jay Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for this Tuesday, October 3rd of 2023. Thanks so much for joining me in this video. I'm on this side of the screen today, and forgive me, the lighting I know is not very good right now, but I am in a different setup, and honestly, there's not really a great spot to film here, so I just kind of make do with what I can. So hopefully you guys had a wonderful Monday. I know it's pretty intense and probably a lot of, at least for me, like I said, I was saying that it was a fated day. That's what it kind of felt like with all of that energy. And I do believe that I had some fated conversations yesterday and some things that kind of came up all throughout the day that I was like, there's something to this. There really is. But it's about being open to receiving those messages from spirit too. And then, of course, I wake up this morning, do my meditation, and found the perfect spot out in the yard to look at the sun. So worked out very nicely. Anyways, that's enough about me. Let's hop into the transits for today. So. All right, cool. So we do have the moon, which is ingressing to Gemini today. And, moon in Gemini, I would say that this is somewhat of it's kind of a neutral point. The moon, whenever it goes into Gemini, it definitely can bring out more of our curiosities and stuff, wanting us to connect with people and talk to people. But the other thing about the moon in Gemini is that when it comes to our emotions, they can be influenced by our thoughts rather easily. But because this is a mutable energy too, things can kind of shift. So this is a time where our emotions can kind of be all over the place. They can kind of shift from one place to another. That moon will trine the sun today as well, but that's going to be more later in the day, if you will. So now, starting off the day, of course, the main things that we have is that you do have this Venus, right, here at 25 degrees of Leo, and it will make a trine over to the North Node in Aries today, and it also will make a quincunx over to Neptune. Now, Venus, she's moving faster, so she's definitely getting her strength back, but she's also about to move into Virgo, where she doesn't like to be in. So this is it's kind of an interesting spot for Venus. Not only that, but Venus still is in shadow. It's getting close to being out of shadow, which would be 28 degrees of Leo, but 28 degrees is where Venus retrograded at, but she still has a little bit of ways to go too. Not only that, but she has to make this aspect to Neptune, and she's got to also make the quincunx over to Pluto on the way to coming out of shadow. So there's a little bit of stress and pressure on Venus right now. And if we just take a look at the aspects that she's making, you have a Neptune that is very, very strong. Okay, so Neptune is in its domicile. It's in the place where it likes to be, so that gives it some energy. Not only that, but if you take a look at the decan that is in, that decan is ruled by Scorpio and/or Pluto, and Pluto right now is in a pretty neutral place here in Capricorn. So there's not really a whole lot that's negatively impacting this Neptune from Neptune's perspective. So Neptune is very, very strong here. Now, Venus is not in its domicile. It's not really in a place where it dominates or is exalted or is in fall or in detriment. It's in Leo. And I would say Leo is a little bit better than a neutral spot. I would say it's like a slightly positive, almost sort of blissful kind of aspect to be in Leo. But you got to remember that, of course, Venus is all about, it appreciates beauty, it appreciates love, it wants to receive these things, right? So when it's in Leo, it definitely it wants to feel a little bit more glamorous, stuff like that. It wants to be on stage, wants to be the main actor, the main actress, you know what I'm saying? It wants to be the model, right? But because it's in shadow and it's making these very awkward aspects, this is a time where it's like, maybe we want to put ourselves out there. Maybe we want to receive this greater sense of joy in our life, this greater sense of passion and love. But we have to ask ourselves, is it spiritual in nature too? Because this is 25 degrees, 2 + 5 is 7. So it's very Neptunian. This Neptune is very, very strong. It's probably one of the strongest planets in the zodiac right now, which is why things can feel very much like it can feel very much, if you're not used to a lot of water energy, if you're not used to this kind of flow, if you will, of Neptune, it can feel pretty overwhelming. It can kind of feel like we're just in a sea and we're just doing this. And anytime that we try to like get some type of footing, anytime that we try and get some type of structure, we're still kind of like this. You know what I'm saying? So this king comes over to Neptune. Venus, like I said, being in Leo, it's about to get out of shadow, but still has a little bit more to go, and is wanting to, receive this sort of that sort of passion, that Leo says, that roar that Leo has, that vigor. It wants to receive that. It wants to feel that viscerally. And with the king comes to Neptune, Neptune's asking Venus, was like, well, is it spiritual in nature, or is this more ego based? You know what I'm saying? Is this just something that you want to do just for you? How does it benefit other people? You got to remember, Venus, I mean, you do rule Libra, so there's an element here where you do care about other people and want to relate to people, but are you doing it in a spiritual way, or are you doing it in a way that is simply self-serving? That's the thing about this that we have to really think about, right? So I would say when it comes to this king comes, like I said, it's the awkward stare from across the room. So I would say this is sort of like that moment where Venus is in the classroom and looks over at Neptune, and then without even looking, Neptune like astral projects like its spirit, right? And then looks at Venus and it's just like, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? This is one of those moments, because it's a quincunx. This is kind of like are you sure you want that? Because if you want that, I will grant it to you. I will grant your wish, but are you sure you want that? Are you sure you want that? And that's why we have to ask ourselves, is this spiritual in nature, this thing that we want? Is it something that's going to, give us this greater sense of purpose, if you will? I think Venus and Leo also, while it is excited about the flashy things and what makes her feel blissful, a king comes over to Neptune, and subsequently the king comes over to Pluto. That's going to happen with a sun in Libra. We're definitely trying to find some sort of balance right now. We're trying to find some sort of harmony. We're trying to level out the boat, if you will. And Venus has to be like, okay, so I'm about to come out of shadow. I have these weird aspects that are going on. I'm not in the strongest place, but I'm not in the weakest place either. And I'm used to kind of balancing things out. How can I take this joy, this passion, this creativity, and how can I be real about it and authentic with myself about what I want, but also have it to where it matches this vibration where it will benefit the whole collective and not simply myself, So this is about spreading our joy. This is about spreading our creativity. And, when we really are in that place and expressing ourselves from that place, it naturally will benefit the whole collective. But like I said, you can get lost in the waves. You can kind of get lost in the sauce with this Neptune, because like I said, it is one of the strongest, if not strongest planet in the zodiac right now. So now I'm going to move this forward just 3 hours. So I'm going to move it forward in 3-hour increments so you guys can see what's going on here. So the moon's going to move to 6 degrees. You see Venus is still at 2536, right? So it's going to make the quincunx exactly around 12:21 p.m. That's going to be Eastern Standard Time. But, and what's interesting here, too, is that you can see that Mercury is also making this aspect over to Pluto and Capricorn. So let's talk about that for a bit. That's going to be a trine there. Now, remember, these two were involved in a trine with the moon, a grand Earth trine, but now they trine today exactly. Now, Mercury and Virgo, pretty strong aspect, right? It likes to be in Virgo. It's a traditional ruler of Virgo, right? Some people say that it's exalted in Virgo, and it just rules Gemini, which I can kind of see that actually. So it's a very strong aspect here, and it's out of shadow, and it's moving really fast right now. Yeah, Pluto, like I said, in Capricorn, which is rather neutral, I would say, But the interesting thing about this is that the decan that Pluto is in is a decan that is ruled by Mercury. So there's this element where Mercury it's interesting thing with Pluto. Pluto doesn't really care if it and this is a trine, so it's not like they're working harmoniously together. So it's not really so much that, they're fighting each other or odds. They're trying to work harmoniously with each other, right? And the decan that Mercury is in is a Venusian ruled decan, ironically. Or I guess you could even say it's like a more like an Earth ruled, right? I think Venusian kind of makes sense because it's getting close to Libra where Venus likes to be in. So it's next to the decan that Venus likes to be in probably the most. Is the first decan of Libra, right? So there's an element here where, especially since it's 2 + 7, this is 9, this is a very action oriented degree. This is when Pluto will actually let Mercury take the lead on whatever action that you want to take when it comes to this. Now, this is about a manifestation too, as well, because like I said, this is grand Earth. This was coming off of a grand Earth trine. There's an element here where we want to kind of like physically manifest a new reality, new day-to-day reality, new habits and stuff like that. Being that this is 9, though, and there's a very Martian-like quality to this, this is about, if you really want to change your life, if you really want something different, you actually have to become a different person. And that's the interesting thing about this. Sometimes I think we feel like our personalities are very locked in, and it's like you have to be this way. And it's interesting, too, because when you have cardinal energy like Mars, it's not fixed. But the thing is that once it gets going, it can have a lot of momentum. And the longer that it goes, the harder it can be to change and alter that momentum. So if you're finding yourself now, the great thing about excuse me, let me back up. Now, the great thing about Pluto, what it offers in this sort of nice little reception between Mercury and Pluto, is that because Mercury is one of the personal planets and Pluto is transpersonal, it doesn't really give a fuck. Pluto really does not care if Mercury takes the lead here. Now, Pluto also at the same time is going to be reminding Mercury is like, hey, so I'm over here in Capricorn. I'm at the end of Capricorn. I've already kind of transformed and destroyed these different things. So just take that into consideration whenever you're kind of working this shit out. Mercury, like I said, being in Virgo is definitely trying to be analytical and trying to put all the pieces together. Whereas Pluto's going to be like, if you want to try that same thing again, be my guest. You might look a little crazy trying to, do the same thing and expect a different result, but go ahead. Pluto's not going to stop Mercury here. But what Pluto will do is that it will give us the power we need to transform this situation or day-to-day reality so that we can achieve more. That's the way that we can really climb the mountain. This is about an upgrading in our climbing tools, if you will. Thinking that we can climb this mountain, if you will, with the tools that, so like say you're trying to climb, say you're trying to like just walk up a hill, right? But then you're trying to climb a mountain. That's two different things. Walking up a hill, yeah, you need a little bit more strength. You need to kind of move forward a little bit, especially if it's like a steep hill. But if it's a mountain and the edge is straight up, you're going to need some better tools to climb that mountain, right? Pluto will allow Mercury to utilize the same tactics and the same game plan as before, even if it failed. But Pluto will also be like, it failed before, but if you want to do it, be my guest. Because Pluto doesn't really give a fuck like that. But the power that Pluto will have will be like, here, I could transform that tool for you so you can get up the mountain. But it's up to you whether or not you make that decision. It's up to you whether or not you act on it. So this is a powerful moment where it gives us an opportunity to transform the way that we look at things, transform our game plan, transform the way that, we kind of go about this and not really get too stuck on it looking a certain way, being open to receiving these messages and being open to the transformation. All right. So that's the Mercury trine over to Pluto, right? Now, if we move this forward another 3 hours to about 3:21 p.m., you're going to see, of course, the moon's moving slowly because I'm only having it move a little bit at a time. Mars and the South Node are coming closer and closer together, mind you. And we do have, see Venus still at 25 degrees, 27:54. So, once again, 3:21 is when not Venus, but Mercury and Pluto will be in trine exactly. So we got that going on. Let's move it forward another 3 hours. Let's move this to 6:21. Let's see what we got here. That moon is going to be at 9 degrees and it's beginning to trine over to the sun. It's not going to be exact, but it is starting to trine over to that space. One thing also is that Venus, of course, was in trine to the North Node in Aries. So I think today does give us this pretty awesome opportunity to really sort of feel like this reinvigoration of ourself, especially from a spiritual standpoint. This is about, and it's funny too because Venus, it doesn't really like to be in Aries, right? And much rather be in its home in Libra, but the North Node is there. So this is definitely a moment where we're getting some firepower here with this North Node, but it still is traveling with Chiron. So it's not exactly the firepower that we probably want, but it's the firepower that we need, especially from a spiritual standpoint. So I feel like this is a day where the universe can almost be like gifting us like a new tool or a new weapon to put in our arsenal so that we can move forward and create amazing things and make big changes in our life, and not that the big changes have to happen today, if you will. I don't think this is necessarily a time to just try and like really push the envelope, but I think, especially with Venus coming into Virgo, soon, and we have Mercury at the end of Virgo, we are still in many ways in this recalibration period, especially with a sun that's, in fall in Libra and a Mars that's in detriment in Libra. We're getting our power from places that, it's a little bit different. We're getting our power from places where it's a little bit different, where it's not like super obvious. And in order to really take advantage of these moments and utilize these energies, to expand upon your life in a very positive way, you have to kind of go within yourself. You have to kind of dig deep, despite the wave of emotions, despite the wave of propaganda, despite the wave of all of this external stimuli. It's a time about going within and reclaiming our power, reclaiming our natural self, reclaiming that instinct. That's the other thing about Aries, is that it can be very instinctual too. So it's like, what are your instincts telling you? Not intuition, but your instincts. It's something that's different too. Being that this is 25, like I said, this is a very spiritual degree. 2 + 5 is 7. So it's Neptunian. And like I said, Neptune is one of the strongest planets right now. So it's like, there is certainly this element was like, well, how can I, traverse the sea of energy right now and find find the bubbles, find the areas within the sea that really resonate with my heart and my value and the love that I have for myself, the love that I have for God, the love that I have for spirit. And when I'm in that place, that's when I can create things effortlessly. Not without challenge, but effortlessly. There's a difference there. So it's like, yeah, these are challenging times, challenging waters to kind of navigate and stuff. But this is one of those moments. This is literally like, okay, like in Pokemon, the first movie, right? When Mewtwo created like his own island, right? And created like the giant storm, and only four trainers, including Ash, were able to brave the storm and go to the island. This is literally an invitation by the universe to traverse these waters and saying that, hey, you actually have the capability of braving this storm. That's just the first test. That's just the first test, is to get to the island, to get to this place and brave these waters, brave these storms, because the storm is nothing but a challenge. It's nothing but a step for a stepper, is what my dad would say. So you're going to see, 3 hours later, of course, you're going to have, of course, you see this trine. Well, it happens between 6 and 9, but you'll see the moon here in Gemini making the trine over to the sun in Libra. Now, what's interesting about this trine too is that because the sun is in fall position and the moon, I would say it is in a somewhat neutral spot. When it comes to the collaboration of these two energies, the moon's probably going to take the lead, just because the sun is in a place where it's sort of like when a planet is in fall, there's issues with like the functioning of that energy. There's issues with like it can break down, it can malfunction, if you will. Not that Libras malfunction in general. It's just that the sun is really more about, being the light and shining and being in like the self, right? Because it's exalted in Aries and it rules Leo. So it's really more about the self, whereas Libra is a very balancing energy. So there's this element here with this moon in Gemini making this trine over to the sun. Like I said, the moon is definitely going to be kind of leading this collaboration, if you will, between these two energies. And, because the moon is in a sign that, is being disposited by Mercury, which is in a pretty strong position, mind you, we can definitely, this is about taking the information that we receive from the universe. And even if we are in a place where things may feel like they are in fall, and they literally are in fall, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, right? Even if we are in a place where, maybe maybe we don't feel like the main character in our story, right? Maybe we feel like we're a side character in our story. Maybe we feel like there's someone else out there that is like the main character, right? How do you look at yourself? How do you look at yourself in the 10 people that you're around the most? You know what I'm saying? Are you the main character in that story, or do you kind of almost view yourself as a side character? So I think this moon in Gemini making this trine over to the sun kind of gives us an opportunity to be that main character. If we don't feel like we're the main character, we don't really feel like, and we're like that person. So I think this is going to be an interesting one, being that it's at 10 degrees. And that's to a 1, which is a sun ruled degree. So, this could be a day, honestly, where we probably manifest a conversation with somebody. We probably manifest a conversation with someone, and there's like this opportunity, if you will, because it's the 10. So you have the 1, which is the sun, 0, which is like a placeholder energy, Plutonian energy, so infinite potential. I think this is a day where we can realize that there is infinite potential for us. There's infinite potential for the conversations that we can have, the kind of things that we can experience, the kind of things that we can learn, because Gemini are very much like, it likes to learn and stuff. So there's a lot of capabilities here for us to really manifest anything that we really want. But it doesn't come without challenges, of course. And we also have to kind of break out of our shells a little bit and realize that if we really want something to change, to do something different, then we actually have to be different. So if you feel like you're not the main character in your life, what is main character energy? Ask yourself that. What is main character energy? What do main characters do? So I think that's just something that we ask ourselves as the day concludes. So let me get back into boom. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and hop into the cards, shall we? Let me go ahead and grab these. So hopefully you guys will be able to see them. Like I said, I do apologize. I know that the lighting is absolute garbage, but I got the world card. The world card just kind of popped out right here, right? I love that. The world card. Bottom of the deck, we do have the 7 of Swords. Interesting enough. We have the 7 of Swords upright. What's interesting about this one is that it shows this man kind of flying above this place. And I think he's just astral projecting, right? So this is a day, with the world card and the 7 of Bows, which kind of takes the 7 of Swords, which is normally a card where we feel like we've been robbed of something or taken of something. Maybe we feel like the world has taken something from us or robbed us of something. Maybe we feel like the world has caused it to where we don't feel like the main character in our own life. That person's the main character. That person's the main character. That person has it all figured out. That person has it all figured out. Who am I? This is a day where this is a day where, through astral projection, if you will, even metaphorically, but through astral projection, we can kind of gain different vantage points. And I think also with that moon trining over to the sun, having a conversation today that could come up as, the moon goes into that trine, it can start to open us up and give us fresh perspective on how to really move forward. Maybe someone gives us an idea. Maybe someone kind of helps work on our game plan with us. Maybe we work on someone's game plan with them. This can be a good time for collaboration too, with like-minded souls, like-minded people. The world is your oyster, right? Now we have like this Ouroboros right here, right? So you have like the snake that's biting its own tail, surrounded by and on the around the earth. So there is this element here where we can transform our world. We really can, but I think this is going to come down to just seeing a fresh perspective on things and not feeling like we've been robbed of anything. If anything, we rob ourselves of our own happiness when we fail to realize that we manifested this shit. And that can be a hard pill to swallow, being like, wait, I manifested this? I'm like, yes, you actually did manifest this. And, some people will get so trapped in their ego, being like, there's no way I would manifest this. Why would I want this? I wouldn't want this. How could I have manifested this thing? And that's the thing about manifestation. The universe doesn't know no. It only knows yes. So regardless of what you tell it, it's going to say yes. I don't have enough money. Yes, you don't have enough money. Or I need more money. Yes, you need more money. And it will just give you needing more money. That's just an example as far as that goes. A good one is like, oh my gosh, I have anxiety. Yes, you have anxiety. So you possess the anxiety. That's why, at least with that one, I tell myself I'm experiencing anxiety, because I also know that it's not going to last forever. Not only that, but it kind of just it's an interesting one with that one. It's like, if I'm saying I am experiencing anxiety and the universe responds, yes, you are experiencing anxiety, but that doesn't mean that's going to last forever. It's different from saying have, right? So we have the divine masculine coming up today. The divine masculine. The frequency of divine masculine supports our strong, focused, and active side, allowing it to express itself while helping us to bring our dreams and ideas into form with kindness and wisdom. Yeah, this is about bringing our visions forward. This is about actually materially manifesting them. But, having the strength and the clarity so we can remain focused and kind of bring that vision forward, it could require, but, that's the thing about this. I think today teaches us that, no one person is an island, but that people can only help you to the extent that you help yourself. So you still have to go within, kind of meditate, go within yourself, help yourself out, and then you will law of attract into your life the people that are meant to collaborate with you and do great things. Teamwork makes the dream work ultimately, but you have to be a great teammate to yourself. So you have to ask yourselves, like, man, have I not been protecting, because if you have all these different versions of you, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you have to understand that you have to play the quarterback. You have to be the wide receiver for yourself, the running back, the lineman, tight end, the defensive player, especially the lineman. Most people don't want to be the lineman because it's boring, right? Being an offensive lineman seems boring. You're just blocking, right? Or the center, the one that snaps the ball, right? Everyone wants to be the quarterback. Everyone wants to be the wide receiver or a running back or even a DB, right? But no one wants to be on the line, in the trenches. This is a moment where we kind of have to get into the trenches of life, and it can be a bit of a struggle. Sometimes it can feel a little mundane, but it's a super important role. So there are going to be times, like I said, where you're quarterbacking, sometimes where you're a wide receiver, sometimes where you're a running back. There are times where you have to be on that offensive line and kind of in the trenches and grinding it out. But I promise you, that is a very important place to be. And if you don't have that part, then that vision will start to collapse. So that is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it, despite the fact that you can barely see my face. If you did enjoy this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you'd like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, y'all take care, stay blessed, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys on the Wednesday astrology forecast. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.